Hello everyone. In this video we're going to be working with function inverses, and the big ideas are switching the x and y values, solving for variables, and obviously inverse. So the inverse is exactly what I just said. You're going to be switching the x and the y values. One important thing to notice is that f of x is the same thing as y, so if you want to go ahead and cross it out and make that y, it'll make your life a little bit easier as far as seeing what's going on. So the very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to switch the place of our x and y value. So I'm going to switch this y with this x. So rewriting it, we're going to have x equals 7y plus 18 divided by 2. Now what we're going to do is we're going to solve for our new y, and this is going to be our function inverse. So solving for our new y, I can see that 7 and y are together. 7 is being multiplied by y. This is having 18 added to it, and then all of that is being divided by 2. So since this is all together, I can't mess with that until I get rid of that 2. So I'm going to have to multiply 2 by both sides because that's the opposite of dividing by 2. So let's multiply both sides by 2. 2 times x is just 2x. So we're going to get 2x equals 7y plus 18. Now, still trying to get to that y. 7 is being multiplied by y, but 7y is having 18 added to it. So I need to get rid of that 18 now. The opposite of adding 18 is subtracting 18. So I'm going to subtract 18 from both sides. And I love to ask my students, what is 2x minus 18? Because some people are like, oh, 2x minus 18 is negative 16x. No, 2x minus 18 is literally just 2x minus 18. So let's rewrite it, 2x minus 18. And this is going to be equal to 7y. And then we only have one more step here because y is being multiplied by 7. So the opposite of multiplying by 7 is dividing by 7. So let's divide both sides by 7. And we're going to get 2x minus 18 divided by 7 equals y. So this is our function inverse, but we're going to write it in a very, very fancy way, which is f inverse f negative 1 of x equals 2x minus 18 over 7. Okay, so let's do another one. Let's do number 2, and everyone should be able to get the first step right. So the very first step is going to be, and I just want to do that real quick. Okay, the very first step is going to be switching the x and the y values. So I'm going to switch y, and it's okay to x this out and make it a y. I'm going to switch the y and the x. So switching this with this. All right, so here we go. X equals 2y squared plus 3. All right, let's analyze the right-hand side of this. So I want to get y by itself. Y is being squared, so that's all together. Then y squared is all being multiplied by 2, so that's all together. And then it has 3 added to it. So what I want to get rid of first is that plus 3. So let's subtract 3 from both sides. And I'm going to ask you again, what is x minus 3? X minus 3. Okay, so x minus 3 is just x minus 3. And it's going to be equal to 2y squared. All right, now y is being squared, and then y squared is all being multiplied by 2. So this is together, but I can get rid of that 2. 2 times y squared, the opposite of that is going to be dividing by 2. So I'm going to divide by 2 on both sides. And we're going to get, coming over here, x minus 3 over 2 equals y squared. So now we're going to have to get rid of the squared on the y. And a lot of people get kind of confused when getting rid of that part, but the opposite of a square is just a square root. For example, 2 squared is 4, but the square root of 4 is 2. So that's kind of how you can think about a square and a square root. So to get rid of the squared, we're going to have to take the plus or minus square root of both sides, because if you square something, it's always going to come out positive, whether it was a negative or a positive. So that's why you have to do the plus or minus. So let's take the plus or minus square root of both sides. Okay, the square root and the y squared are going to cancel each other out. So we're going to get plus or minus square root of x minus 3 over 2 equals y. And let's just write it in our fancy way. f inverse of x equals the plus or minus square root of x minus 3 divided by 2. And that's it. Okay, let's try out another one. Again, everyone can get the first step right, switching the x and y. And hopefully by now you know that f of x is equal to y. So we're just going to switch these two things here. All right, so we're going to have x equals the cubed root of 2y minus 1, all under that cubed root there. Okay, so we switched the x and y values, and now we're going to need to peel this apart layer by layer. 2 is being multiplied by y, but then 2y is all having 1 subtracted from it. So then all of that is under the cube root of 3. So this is all together, and before we mess with that, we need to get rid of this root 3. So what is the opposite of a root 3? Well, a square root is the opposite of a squared. Likewise, a cube root is the opposite of a cube. So we are going to cube both sides. Okay, cube root and the cube are opposites of each other, so we're going to get x to the third equals 2y minus 1. All right, now, y is being multiplied by 2, but then 2y is having 1 subtracted from it, so we're going to add 1 to both sides. What is x to the third plus 1? X to the third plus 1. So we're going to get x to the third plus 1 equals 2y. And now we can get that y by itself by dividing both sides by 2. Okay, so let's divide by 2. All right, and let's just go ahead and jump to our fancy form. F inverse of x equals x to the third plus 1 divided by 2. All right, so let's do problem number 4 now, and same thing, we're going to switch the x and y, so I'm switching that guy with this guy. So first step, everyone can get right, x equals 1 over y minus 2. All right, so looking at this problem, y is 1 is being divided by y, and then that whole thing is having 2 subtracted from it. So before I work with that, I need to get rid of that 2 by adding 2 to both sides. What is x plus 2? X plus 2. Okay, so x plus 2 equals 1 over y. And this is the weird part, okay? So I'm going to take this little trick, and I'll explain to you the trick afterwards. But what we're going to do is we're going to take this whole thing and switch it with the y. Because since the y is in the denominator, the only way that we can get it out of the denominator is if we literally switch the x plus 2 and the y. So let's just go ahead and switch it. And whenever we do, we're going to get y by itself on this side. So let's just go ahead and write our answer. 1 over x plus 2. Okay, if that didn't make any sense to you, let me draw out a little explanation as to why that works. So let's come over here, a little side note. If you have something in the denominator that you want to solve for, the only way that you can get it out of the denominator is multiplying both sides by that number or that variable. So I'm multiplying y by both sides, so we're going to get y times x plus 2 equals 1. Now, to get y by itself, y is being multiplied by x plus 2, so we'd have to divide both sides by x plus 2. So we would get y equals 1 over x plus 2. So this is why the trick works, because you literally just have to switch places. The y has to go over here, then the x plus 2 has to go over here on the denominator. So you can always take this little trick if you have something that you want to get by itself in the denominator, and it will always work. So, moral of the story, when you're finding inverses, you switch the x and y, and then you're solving for your new y. Stay tuned for verifying inverses graphically. It is easier than algebraically, I promise. So, have a great rest of your day, and goodbye.